This is the story of a lifetime. Taylor Swift was listening to it on tour. Obama named it as one of his favorite books of 2024. Netflix just picked it up, and I hope that they take their time because it's a vibe. It's going to be good as a mini series. Okay, this is God of the Woods by Alice Moore, a story about two missing rich kids that unveiled the ugly secrets of a rich family and the town that they live in. Here's the thing: if you look up this book, it's categorized under mystery, thriller, but really I feel like it's more than that. It's giving family drama, it's giving horrors of living, because sometimes what is scarier is not what you cannot see, but what is visible and tangible to you. Here's the thing that is like an icebreaker sort of question that I ask people when I first meet them. Would you like to live forever? I'm a strong yes. Let me be a vampire. I want to be a vampire, and after that I will turn everyone that I love into vampires. It sounds wonderful, lovely to me, but when I tell people that, they go, no girl, that is selfish of you. Just because you love them and you want to see their face every day does not mean that they want to see you and love your face every single day for eternity. What's life if it's infinite? What is life if everything you have is infinite? I can't relate, but fortunately for me, vampires don't exist, and the closest thing to immortality is a dynasty. So much wealth that whatever you and I, girl, have in our bank account is a booger in the ocean for them. These people have one flaw: they must and produce an heir, someone to take what they have and pass it down. And usually for rich people, this is very important, right? This is probably one of the main reasons that they are having a bunch of kids. So tell me why, when a daughter of a banking giant goes missing, the parents are not rushing to look for her. Imagine someone like Jeff Bezos and someone like that only having one kid, and that one kid goes missing and he's just like chilling at home. I'm just gonna wait here for the lead detective to come and knock on my door. Ain't no way that's gonna happen. Ain't no way someone like that's going to wait. That is very suspicious. But you know what's even more suspicious is that lead detective, that person, that rich guy is waiting for, also happened to have investigated that missing son 14 years ago. Would you wait? Would you wait for that guy who failed to do their job 14 years ago to come knock on your door and chit chat? No way. Ain't no way that's gonna happen. So what the fork is happening to this family? Did they have something to do with their daughter going missing? Their daughter? Did they actually just not care about their daughter at all? Let me let you in one secret. Well, it's not really a secret to be honest, because everybody around town knows this very well, that the daughter that went missing, she was a replacement for her late brother. Her parents loved him, not her. So what the fork happened to the late brother? And what's happening to her? Where is she right now? What's wrong with this family? And how is the town involved in all of this? This story is so insanely complex. I think this is one of the most complex stories that I've read in a long time. Everybody has a background and anybody could be a suspect. It's very complex, you know. The sentiment is crazy. It's like you're going to feel bad for this one guy, you're going to feel like you relate to this one guy, and then you're going to hate this one guy. It's a lot of characters. It's giving Knives Out, rich people, moody, foresty. You are in 1975 and you are seeing everything unfold. You have so many people in one story, but you will see how they are all very connected at the very end. And that is honestly my favorite part, okay? Throughout the story, you might feel like a little sad and you might feel a little relieved, but ultimately, this is the story of a lifetime. I call it that because I see myself in each of these characters, unfortunately and fortunately. They reflect so much real life. It's scary. So we're gonna go through it together today in Midnight Library. We are gonna be talking about the book The God of the Woods by Alice Moore, the book that everyone's been talking about, and that is actually good, okay? And if you're planning to read this book after you watch this, I think that might be a good idea because when I was reading it, first 2 parts, I was confused. I did not know what I was reading. And everyone was like, you gotta keep reading because after that, it will all pay off. So if you got things to do, if you got a pile of laundry that you need washing, folding, if you got cooking to do, or if you got prepping to do for anything, or if you're commuting, this is the perfect video for you because we're gonna be here for a while. And we got a real, rich, complex story for you right here. And because it's so complex, I will try to give you as much visualization as possible. And that is fun because Netflix is going to be, you know, casting people. I'm going to give you some ideas in my head. It's my world and you're living in it, okay? There are a lot of POVs, so this will be fun. If you want to read it with me though, link in the description box below. PS, this video is literally made of spoilers, and if you don't want spoilers, you know what to do. And this book, if you have read it, you know that it's notorious for rubber banding back and forth. Different timelines, different POV. It can get very confusing. So I will not be following the order of the book completely to minimize confusion. And I will also not be including every single detail from the book. I would like to be here for 30 hours, but would you want to be here for 30 hours? Okay, I got a little confession to make. I finished reading the book and I was writing the script for this and I got sick. That's why I was gone for a month. I got influenza and I wish that bitch upon my worst enemies because I had fever. I can't open my eyes. I can't walk. I was dizzy.
I was sad.
So if I missed anything in this video and you have read the book and you would like to add more details, please do so in the comment section down below. Okay? And with that, let's get into it. I'm so excited for this. Let's get into it. The missing daughter's name is Barbara Van Laar. Oh my God, when I first read this thing, I was like, you sound fancy. Okay, Barbara Van Laar. Hi, my name is Barbara Van Laar. She's 13 years old. Right now, it's 7 in the morning. Barbara is supposed to do what everyone else is doing in summer camp. What the heck are you supposed to do in summer camp at 7 in the morning? I've never been, but you're supposed to be brushing your teeth, getting ready for assembly at the summer camp in the morning, but nobody can find her. Her bunkmate can't find her. Her camp leader can't find her. She's gone. If you thought that her parents not urgently looking for her is peculiar, here's the kicker. Her parents, her family owns this summer camp that she's in, and the summer camp is located inside her family estate. Of course, she has a family estate. This camp is called Camp Emerson and is located inside the Van Laar Preserve. When you hear the words preserve, estate, what are you picturing? I'm picturing this shit is huge. This piece of land is huge and it used to be for logging. So imagine dense forest, loads of greens, far away from civilization, isolated from everything. The closest town to it is called Shattuck. Picture Hawkins, okay? Because why not Stranger Things? A lot of people from this town, Shattuck, work in the Van Laar Preserve all year round. Not in high position, okay? Just blue-collar jobs, you know, cooking, cleaning, maintaining the house, the forest, the camp. You get the gist. So you have dense forest in one part of the land, and the land sort of go like a lot of greens, and then on one part it goes up a little. The land goes up. I don't know. I'm trying my best. Do I look like a landscaper to you? I don't even know if landscaper do this, but it goes up on a hill. On this hill, there's this Van Laar main house. And you know, rich people, they name their main house. They don't just use the lot name as their names. They name it properly. They named their main house Self-Reliance. Weird, but makes sense because this place has to work on its own. It has to have an ecosystem to sustain. But who is doing the sustaining? Think about that. Is it the rich people or is it the blue-collar jobs, people who are working all year round to keep this place up and running? Let me tell you a little bit about this summer camp that Barbara was in. A lot of people send their kids here for summer camp, or to be specific, like wealthy people, rich, wealthy people send their kids here because apparently Camp Emerson is where you make lifelong friendships. It's giving rich people go make connections so when you grow up, we can do business together. But here is the reality of Camp Emerson. Number one, Most kids are not trying to make lifelong friendships. They are trying to nurture their already made lifelong friendships, and they keep to their own friends group unless Number 2, okay, we are talking about Barbara Van Laar. She's the reality, the myth, the legend of this camp. Everyone knows who she is. She's like the daughter of the owner. You are going to know who she is. When everyone found out that she was coming to camp, all the kids were so excited. All the kids want her to be in their friends group, want to be friends with her. But let me tell you, one thing's for sure. If Barbara was not a Van Laar and she dressed like that, nobody would want to be friends with her, because Barbara in 1975 is giving punk rock, goth, black bob. She rocks red lips. To some, this is like, oh girl, you express yourself. I like that about you. But to most people in this book, it's a sign of a troubled mind, because Barbara is a Van Laar. She has a room in the main house, right? She's no stranger to this piece of land, but let me tell you, when she entered the camp, it was so cool. She was like walking from the main house to the camp, okay? Opposite her, as you see her, she's like walking towards the camp. You see a black town car with the family driver inside with all of Barbara's belongings. She could have arrived in, I'm picturing like a Rolls Royce, black Rolls Royce, and Barbara just like walking. She could have been inside the car, but she's like, no, I don't want to be associated with that. I want to walk on my own, okay? It was so cool. She was wearing cut-off jean shorts, black stockings, black army boots, black bob, red lips, spikes as earrings, black choker necklace, and 2 black cuffs on her wrist. In 1975, most girls were not rocking this. In 1975, I did a quick Google search. We were doing "Are you colorblind?" test everywhere we went, okay? We were color blocking everywhere we go. Of course, Barbara stood out. She's giving confidence. In my head, who are you picturing as Barbara Van Laar? I'm picturing Jenna Ortega, because maybe it's because of Wednesday, but I really think that she will rock this role, okay? At camp, Barbara's not interested in making friends with all these girls who want her to be in their circle because names, because reputation. Barbara keeps to herself. She keeps to herself until Tracy. Tracy is her first friend at camp, and she would trust Tracy with a secret. I'll be going out. I'll be sneaking out every night to see my boyfriend, but don't worry, I'll be back in the morning. She made Tracy promise not to tell anyone. Maybe my brain is small. I'm picturing Emma Myers as Tracy. So let's go with it. I'm gonna tell you a little bit more about Tracy, and you will see how it fits. Tracy loves that she's the one that Barbara chose to be friends with. Tracy has always wanted a friendship, but she loves pretty girls. I don't think, okay, girl, we know you don't have to love girls to want to be friends with pretty girls or love pretty girls, right? I don't think that she's interested in girls in that way, but if you are, I like that for you, okay? For Tracy, she almost want to put these pretty girls under a microscope to examine them, to just learn more about them, because they're just so pretty, and they are just the opposite of her. Her dad was the one to send her to this camp, told Tracy one day that you look like a plump on a stick. Why would a parent ever say that to their daughter, to their kid? That is insane. Anyway, but I want to talk about Tracy and her dad. Tracy wants to be close to her dad. Her parents are no longer together, and she had a routine for the summer. She would go to this house because the dad would rent this specific house every summer. And what Tracy would do every single summer is go to that house, pulls the blinds down, and then she would read, eat, sleep all summer. She thought that this is what she would be doing this summer, but no, her dad wants different things. His business is doing so good, his life is improving, and with it, he got a new house, a new girlfriend, and a new life, honestly. And the only old thing in his life is Tracy, and he sent her away to this camp. And it's safe to say that Tracy did not want to be here because she did not know anybody here. It was so scary, intimidating to see everyone with their own friends in their own groups. It was genuinely very scary for her. Deep down, Tracy wanted someone to just show her some form of interest, because in return, she knows that she can give loyalty, devotion, maybe even make them laugh. She got a sense of humor. She could even entertain them in other ways. She could sing for them. She could draw for them. So when Barbara noticed her and told her that, Tracy, I think you're a good one. I think you got some secrets. She felt so special. And together they had this friendship like, don't worry girl, I'll stand up for you. You got me. And that is the perfect girl friendship. And together they were able to make more friends. Except when they made more friends, I think it's just 3 more. And within their circle, there's this one guy. Tracy, like, she had a crush on him. And that guy liked Barbara instead. And Barbara just kissed him out of it there. She did apologize to Tracy after, like immediately after, saying she didn't know what she was doing. And Tracy just like understands, like she understands, but it broke her heart. Young and stupid, you know. Barbara is her friend still, and the friend that she's been asking for a long time. That is what matters. And now her only friend is missing. What the? Barbara was supposed to be back right now. It's morning. Barbara has shown no doubts that she can survive in these woods and in that river. Like, she knows how to skin animals. She knows how to make her own tent. Like the rich girl knows how to make fire. She knows how to look for water, how to keep herself warm in these woods. She's the fastest swimmer in this freaking camp. How is she out of everyone missing? When Barbara's disappearance news broke, the place is swamped with police. We got investigator talking to people in the camp, in the estate. How long will Tracy keeps the secret to herself? Is Barbara's safety more important than their friendship and this secret? Like, Tracy was not going to just let everyone in on Barbara's secret, you know. She's going to at least try to find her friend first. And she came up with a plan. It's simple. The plan is, I'm just going to walk into the forest and look for my friend. Simple. I've been in this camp for maybe a few days. I'm not the fastest swimmer. I may not be able to survive in these woods alone, but it's simple. I'll be fine. That's her plan. So in she walks into the forest. She's walking into the territory of the god of the woods, with the god of the woods be in her favor. Did you know that the word panic came from the Greek god Pan, the god of the woods? This Greek god liked to trick people, to confuse them, to disorient them until they lose their bearings, until they can't remember things, until they lose their mind. When you panic in the woods, you are offending him. But when you stay calm, the Greek god might just treat you like his friend. So where does Tracy stand? And we're going to find out soon enough. Tracy walks into the forest without her glasses, a watch, a compass, long pants, or even water. Because the plan is simple. I'm just gonna walk in, find my friend, just straight line, okay? I just gotta keep the sun on my right. What Tracy did not think about was what happens when the sun sets. It ain't gonna be on your right, girl. It's gonna be on the back of the earth. Next thing you know, Tracy has been lost in the woods for half a mile. It's dark now. The sun abandoned her. So she just sits down and she yells, "I'm lost!" Until she's thirsty, hungry, and too much time has passed and she's still screaming. She was even screaming for her parents who are no longer together, who are definitely not going to find her in these woods. Sit down and yell. This is the instruction given upon arriving at this camp. Because remember, dense woods, a lot of woods, you might get lost. You are given this as soon as you enter the camp. If you are ever lost in these woods, you sit your butt crack down and you yell. When Tracy was first given this instruction, she was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what the fork would I even yell about? Lol. Well, right now, it's not so lol anymore because she's alone in the dark. She's crying, she's tired, and ultimately she's defeated. And then she sees someone. A gray-haired lady standing right in front of her with a finger to her lips. And then she turns and she waits almost as if she's waiting for Tracy to follow her. Tracy has no idea where she wants Tracy to go, but Tracy knows who she is. Oh, everyone knows who she is. She is one of the legends of this camp, of this forest. She is Scary Mary. If you ever drive past these woods, you might just see her for a split second, just standing inside the woods, looking out. Up until now, she has no idea Scary Mary was nothing but a legend. Like, she's real. Now she's right here. Is she good or evil? Is she going to kidnap Tracy? Like, is she the reason that Barbara's gone? Like, did she take Barbara? Tracy has no idea but to just follow Scary Mary. She does not know where she wants her to go, but Scary Mary right now is her best bet. Right now, you tell me, would you have followed Scary Mary? I might, but honestly, I might or might not also be peeing in my pants as I trail behind her because I'm scared, Mary. Like, girl, just think about it and you let me know down in the comments down below. Okay, let's do a quick recap right now. At this point, we have a missing rich punk rock girl, a best friend who is looking for her, but instead came face to face with a legend of the forest while a huge investigation is going on outside. Maybe Barbara just ran away. Maybe it's that simple. Maybe Barbara is kidnapped by Scary Mary. Okay, if there's one thing that I can guarantee you in this story is that things may look very simple as a whole, but if you dig deeper, the sentiment is so very real and unfortunately heartbreaking. And this is why the story is so good, you know what I mean? Because it's not a far-fetched thriller, mystery book. Oh my god, rich handsome man wants to be it's locked me in the attic, right? It's not like that. Just keep that in mind. There's so much shit to unpack here. Barbara is the second Van Laar to go missing. The first time a Van Laar kid went missing, like Barbara's brother, late brother, it destroyed every single person in the family, in the camp, in the town. We are gonna get right into that in a bit, but right now, let's go back to Barbara's bestie, Tracy. Scary Mary is Tracy's only anchor right now. So she keeps walking behind her in these woods. She keeps trailing behind Scary Mary. And then Scary Mary stops and she points. Self-reliance. Scary Mary led Tracy out of the forest. As soon as Tracy gets out of the forest, people are screaming for her, like relief that, oh my god, you are safe, you are not gone, you're not kidnapped, nothing happened to you. We don't need two missing girls at the same time. At least Tracy tried to find her friend, right? But now it's time for her to tell the police everything that she knows about Barbara and that one secret. So she tells the police that Barbara switched bunk with her. She was on top, but she wants to be at the bottom. So every single night she can sneak out easily. After the camp leaders leave the camp, then Barbara would go. But she would always come back in the morning before assembly. In Tracy's eyes, Barbara is not an unreasonable person who is irresponsible or in a way reckless. She's not that girl. I think Tracy looked up to Barbara, but the thing is, not everyone saw Barbara like that. To some, Barbara is just a rebel kid who ran away from home, a rich kid, a brat, or a rebel kid who ran away to be with her boyfriend if they knew that piece of information from Tracy, right? As a part ex-rebel kid myself, you know, when you are acting out, it's always because of something that is close to your heart. And to me, it was something that was happening at home. There's always a reason to that behavior. So now, I'm gonna give you a warning. This part is very rich, complex, and sad, but necessary, because this is how we get to know Barbara and her home life, like the reason that she's acting out and her rebel behavior, all these ties to her parents and her late brother. At home, it feels like Barbara is being punished for simply existing. Her parents had her after they lost her brother. Her dad, Peter, told her mom, Alice, it would be good for you to have another kid to keep you busy. The truth is, if her late brother was still alive, they would have never had Barbara. rich people, inheritance, complications, you get it. They don't need that. Since the day that Barbara was born, her mother, Alice, has always been very absent from her life. And the reason for that is grief. Alice grieves since the day that she lost her son, and she's dealing with it the only way she knows how. At times, when she's only supposed to take one pill, she takes two. One time she took one after another and just swallowed them like candy. Alice's character is very, very complex. As a wife, as a sister, as a mother who lost her son. One thing though, that people said that they wish that they knew earlier before reading this book is just how much grief Alice experiences throughout the book, because there's nothing wrong with grief, but it's very heavy, it's very human, and when you can relate to that, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, it's very overwhelming. Okay, personally, grief is something that is still very sensitive to me, so I will not be getting too much into this part of Alice. I will try my best to tell you why Alice is the way that she is and how she got here. From the surface, Alice is that mean rich lady who cares about nobody but her son. Like, my son this, where's my son? I want to find my son. I want to be with my son. Nothing wrong with that. After she lost her son, she did not say that about Barbara. She did not care about Barbara like that. If anything, she avoided Barbara. Of course, she considers Barbara her child, but she loves the first one so much more. She even had to tell herself that I will love this child when she saw Barbara for the first time. It's sad. It's very heartbreaking. It's like Alice used up all her love for Barbara's late brother, and there's none left whatsoever for Barbara. Now, Alice's character has a lot to do with her union with her husband, Peter. So this is before everything, before Barbara, before her son, everything. Let me take you back to when they first met. Alice and Peter met through Alice's sister, Delphine. Beautiful name, by the way. I didn't even know that name existed until I was reading this book. Now, we have got quite a few characters, so let's put some faces into them. Alice. I want you to think of Mia Goth, because that lady is so beautiful, and I might just be looking for reasons to put her somewhere, but have you seen her face? Have you? That lady is too freaking beautiful, and I think that she has the range to play Alice very well. Okay, Elizabeth Debicki for Delphine, because come on, this lady has proved time and time again that she can rock that fashion. Okay, 1950s, 60s, 70s, give it to her. She's going to rock it. And have you seen her acting? It's insane. Peter, I'm not sure. I was not sure. I was thinking like maybe Henry Cavill, but he's too kind. He got a kind face. It's like asking Keanu Reeves to play the bad guy. Never. They got that kind face. So keep in mind that whoever I'm gonna say next, I don't think that they look like a bad guy. They are extremely talented. Alexander Skarsgård. Here's another reason why I chose him about this Van Laar family. Okay, every single generation only has one son, and all these sons are named Peter Van Laar, the first, the second, the third, the fourth. So I thought that it would be very confusing if we cast like two different people. So let's have two generations of actors. We have Alexander Skarsgård as Barbara's father, Stellan Skarsgård as Barbara's grandfather, right? Who will come in later. So there you have it. Now, when Alice first met Peter, she was almost 18 years old and he was 29. Huge age gap considering like she's like barely legal. But this is a fictional story and the dynamic could have worked, like the relationship, okay? Because Delphine's husband is friends with Peter. Peter is friendly with Delphine. Delphine is a sister of Alice. Alice fancy Peter. Peter got nice looks. He's smart. He's tall. He looks good in tux. He got money. But something was off from the jump. The first time that Alice was invited to Peter's for dinner at the Van Laar Preserve, it was like, come meet your future husband, wife, dinner, right? Delphine was there. And she was supposed to be a wing woman, but the whole time, my cat is calling. But the whole time, Peter was just talking to Delphine. Delphine is beautiful, like, don't get me wrong. Like, This has nothing to do with the cast. They are two of the most beautiful women, okay? This is about the story. Delphine is beautiful, but she's just not as beautiful as Alice. Delphine is 5 years. Alice is a senior. She's taller than Alice. She's witty. She got a sense of humor. She could hold a conversation with someone like Peter. Like, think about that. Peter, who probably had quality education, who rubbed shoulders with the industry's creme de la creme. Delphine, who has probably not completed university or been to university, could speak with Peter for hours and hours on end. Just imagine how smart Delphine is. And Alice is no Delphine. So Alice just keeps quiet. She's feeling out of place, feels like she does not belong in this table. The only thing that Peter said to Alice was, "I'm glad that you're here." But that was enough for Alice. Enough for her to ask herself these 3 questions. Could she live here, far away from the city? Could she live here in the middle of nowhere, part of every year? Could she marry someone like Peter? She turns and she looks out the window towards the lake. This Van Laar preserve is hypnotizing and it's a flex. You know what I mean? You invite someone to this. Okay, got some rays, all right? Calm breeze, smell of nature, with the last light of the day shining off that lake. Girl. She was like, yes, yes, and yes. Then Peter proposed to Alice not long after that with an heirloom ring. And something new from Van Cleef. This is extra, but this is what Lismore told me. Like Van Cleef. I don't have a Van Cleef. Do I want a Van Cleef?
Do you want a Van Cleef? Is that how you say it?
Alice had no clue where her life would go or what she would do, but she was happy to marry Peter because at least then this part of her life is decided. She has no friends for the wedding, no bridesmaid for the wedding, no honeymoon after the wedding. They just got married and then left for Albany. 9 months after, their son was born, and 9 months after, Peter started finding her more annoying than amusing. It was like, you know how in relationships, like, oh my god, let me just titles for you, to, oh my god, it's been 9 months. How do you not know how to do this? Okay, it became like that. Of course, Alice wants Peter's love, but now she has her son. If she can't have his love, at least now she has her son. Her son was her oxygen. Her son was smart. Her son was friendly, well loved by everyone around him. Peter loved him too, but not in the way that Alice did. She loved him with no conditions. He loved him with conditions. He loved him in a form of ROI. He expected returns from investing his love and time into his very own son. Peter's love language did not translate, not even with Alice. He would tell Alice things like, get ready, drink more, because when you don't drink, you are boring at parties, and wear heels and pick a dress that don't show off your shoulders. You are short, and these are not your best features. And for once, please stop carrying our son around. Leave him to the nurse. We hire nurses for a reason, not just to live here for free. You have no idea right now. You have no idea how much I hate some men. I've read The Housemaid, then this, and then I watch All Her Fault. Girl, I'm so mad right now. Did you watch it? Did you watch it? Was it good? Was it? I'm mad right now at you, because why didn't you tell me about that series? Why are we not talking about that series? It's so good. But back to this, I'm so mad at some men because a lot of the men in the books that I talk about in the series are despicable and disgusting. What do you mean? What do you mean? Oh my god, I need time for myself. What? Some men, not all, because there are good ones out there. Hopefully you who's watching this right now, okay? Peter. I would start a war just to fist fight Peter Van Laar. I want to fist fight a fictional character. All he cares about is how he looks from the outside. He does not care about his wife or how she feels. What makes a parent is more than how you treat your child, but also how you treat your spouse and those around you that help you raise your child. Anyway, I think that whatever he said is a galaxy-sized red flag. But Alice agrees with Peter. I am boring at parties. I know nothing of current affairs, and I am not well-traveled. I got no hobbies. I'm not funny. I'm not smart. I'm not like my sister. So Alice would wear heels and she would pick a dress that don't show off her shoulders. But when it comes to her son, she just can't do it. She doesn't want to leave his side. She wants to be around her son all the time. There was this one time when her son cried out in the middle of the night, Mama, Mama. And he kept crying until Alice showed up in his room. And when he saw her, he was over the moon. He stopped crying. He was so happy. That is how much they love each other. He stopped crying immediately. There's nobody that could have done that to him but Alice. And then Peter rushes into the room, took their son away from her, and gave him to the nurse, and took Alice back into their room. Asked Alice, cover your eyes and go to sleep. Alice would at least try to do that, but she can't. She doesn't want to leave her son. She keeps thinking about her son, and she tells herself, I can't do it. She thought that Peter was sleeping, but he was not. He said to her, you can do it. But what he really meant was, you will do it. So there you have it. That's the picture of Alice. And maybe that is why Barbara is the way that she is. Not just because of Alice, but also because of Peter, okay? On surface, Alice is this rich, mean lady who doesn't care about anyone but her child. But, you know, the first son. But underneath, you really see that she really cares for her son. And she's taking life as the day goes. It feels like she wants to be told what to do or where to go in life. But she knows when it's wrong, like it doesn't align with her moral compass. However, she can't always fight back because in a world like this, wives like her are expendables and replaceable. Unfortunately, nobody deserves that. But Alice just deals with it in her own way. And then one evening, the only person that kept Alice alive was taken away from her. It was as if the gods knew just how much she wanted her son all to herself that they took him away from her. And from that day onwards, she was never the same again. Let me take you back to the night when Alice lost her son. So this is part of the description of the book, okay? When the first son goes missing. You see, what is very interesting is that when I was reading this book, the narrative is son goes missing. Instead of son is missing and then he's probably dead. When I was reading, the whole time I was like, maybe he's still alive, maybe not. I don't know, because the first two parts of the book, I was lost. I did not know what I was reading. And then when I found out what I was reading, I was like, wow, there's 1,000 things going on right now. I'm so confused. So this is how I'm going to narrate it for you. I want you to know that the son is long gone, unfortunately. Here's the two things that you need to think about. Number one, if the son is gone, who is the killer? Number two, does this killer have something to do with Barbara going missing? That is what I want you to keep in mind as we go, all right? Now, back to the night when Bear went missing. Peter calls Shattuck Fire Department. Shattuck is the closest town, the one that looked like Hawkins, remember? Hello, Fire Department? Yes, this is Carl of the Shattuck Volunteer Fire Brigade. Mr. Van Laar, is everything all right there? It seems my son is missing. Bear? Alice's and Peter's son is called Bear Van Laar. Of course, his name is like Peter Van Laar, the third. I think it's like third or fourth. Carl knows him as Bear because he works for the Van Laar as a gardener. Everyone around Bear calls him Bear because he looks like a bear. He was plump, he got soft fuzzy hair. So picture a cute bear for a bear. Picture Charles Dance for Carl Stoddart. Their relationship is so cute, it's so sweet. It's like a little boy with a grandfather. Carl adored Bear and it was mutual. Bear loved spending time with him. Little Bear was the opposite of his father, Peter. Peter wears this like vicious, serious, quiet expression that you never know what he's thinking about or what he's going to do. His son was just so different. Bear was different. Bear was always happy, always smiling, always whistling, always patrolling the grounds like a little watchman. He was so friendly with everyone. He was a little woodsman. He loved learning about anything survival, just like Barbara, if you remember that. Back to the night that Bear went missing, Carl remembers something as Peter was talking to him. Before he left the preserve today, he saw Bear one last time at 3:30. So that's 3:30, right? Bear was tying his shoes at the front door of Self-Reliance. When he saw Carl leaving in his car, Bear stood up, waved at him, and Carl waved back. And after a few hours, he receives a call saying that Bear is gone. What happened? Does this have something to do with what Bear told Carl? That he is scared of someone in his family? Within 5 minutes of receiving the call, Carl gathers 3 volunteers, and in the car, he briefs them on what happened. The Van Laar boy is missing. This afternoon, he left for a hike up the mountain with his grandfather, and he turned back around because he forgot his pocket knife in his room, and then he never rejoined the old man. One of the volunteers asks, how far was he away from the house? Don't know. How long did the Van Laar wait there? Don't know. What would the kid want to do with a pocket knife? Don't know. I guess we will just hear more when we get there. When Carl and the volunteer get to the Van Laar Preserve, they are greeted by the groundskeeper. Like we have talked about, this piece of land is huge. Besides managing their land all year round, this groundskeeper also has to be the camp director in the summer during for Camp Emerson. It's a lot of work. And the Van Laar, Peter, they're not nice people to work for. They will work you to your bone and still don't pay you much. This groundskeeper is staying for something bigger than the Van Laar, something more than money. We'll find out more as we go, but it's a given that the groundskeeper has to know this piece of land like the back of their hand. If you ever see a man with a missing right earlobe, that is the groundskeeper of the Van Laar Preserve. He's stoic. He's a man of few words. Victor, I want you to think of him as human Google Maps. He's a walking, talking Google Maps. Him and his family are skillful guys of this region, okay? His family was here before the Van Laar ever bought this land. Victor Hadwit. He is also a father. He has one daughter. The daughter is TJ, little girl. She's like tomboyish, but ultimately she's a little version of Victor. Victor Hadwit, I want you to think of him as Christoph Waltz. Victor stands in front of the search parties and he speaks. Now look, it's a sad scene in there. Mrs. Van Laar is beside herself. The whole family is, all the guests too. What I mean is, just be careful, okay? No need to worry them any further. You might be wondering, girl, what? What party? All the guests? What party are they having? Yeah, they're having a party. They were having a party. Did you watch Crazy Rich Asians? When the ama was like, guys, we're going to have a party and we're going to watch this flower bloom under the moonlight. Only rich people got time to risk high blood pressure for shit like that, okay? The Van Laar is throwing a black fly goodbye party. They are saying goodbye to some sort of insects. You don't see me saying goodbye. Oh my god, goodbye lizard. Goodbye mosquitoes. No. Back to the posh party of saying goodbye to flies. It's annual and it's a week long. Their son is gone in the middle of a family party. So as you can imagine, it's quite a scene because it's not just family. They're ballerinas, they're actresses, they're business partners, they're friends of Peter, rich people, and entertainers. And Delphine, Alice's sister, who recently just became a widow after the passing of her late husband. She has no children, but she loves Bear. When she's with Bear, she's like a little kid again. She adored Bear, and now Bear's gone. Back to the evening, Bear's grandfather tells Carl that Bear's been missing since 3 o'clock. Picture Stellan Skarsgård as Bear's grandfather, okay? He continues. The two of us were hiking. Bear had been begging to go for a hike for a while now. We left the house at around 3 and we used a shortcut that connects our house to the trailhead. But as soon as we get to the trailhead, Bear wanted to head back for his pocket knife. Don't know why he wanted to go back for it, but he said he wanted to show me something. As he's talking, Carl's thinking to himself, what are you doing? You should have called us earlier. because it was raining. Now it's going to rain again. Even with a dog, a hound, it's going to be so hard for us to look for a bear, even traces of him. And you said all right? One of Carl's volunteers asks Bear's grandfather. Yes, I was impatient, but I said yes. You watch Bear. The little 8-year-old head back towards the house alone. Yes. When did you lose sight of him? Almost immediately. There's a turn that the path takes. I watched Bear take that turn and then he was gone. Why were you going for a hike in a storm, if you don't mind me asking, sir? The storm was sudden. It came from nowhere. The sky was clear when we left and then... Mr. Van Laar, how long did you wait for Bear after he left? Difficult to say. Maybe 15 minutes, maybe 20. I did not check my clock when he left. I only checked after it started raining and it was 3:35 then. I lost my patience. Then I went back to the house by myself. The path is short. It should not have taken him so long. According to Bear's grandfather, here's what happened. They go for a hike. Bear and him go for a hike. And then Bear went back for the pocket knife. Then he waited. Then it started raining. Then he's like, oh my God, I gotta go back to the house because like Bear's not here. He goes back to the house. Bear is still missing. He goes to Bear's father to tell him that Bear, where's Bear? He's gone. Then they went out in the rain to look for Bear. But they did not tell anybody just yet because they didn't want to alarm anyone. They checked the mountain, they checked the beach, they checked everywhere, the camps, and still could not find Bear. That's when they called Carl and the volunteers in. So now, the search continues. Carl and the volunteers join to search the woods, but it's now dark, and suddenly, they find someone. It's a her. Her face is white and panicked. Her mouth is open in a sort of silent wail. Her clothes are damp and her hair is matted to her head. It's TJ, Victor's daughter, the groundskeeper, the camp director's daughter. She looks like she saw a ghost. She looks like she lost her voice, like she's freaked out. TJ was very close to Bear. Bear would always follow behind her. Wherever they went together. Maybe TJ went out to find Bear herself when she learned of the news that he is missing. Maybe she was so upset that Bear was gone that she went into the woods. But still, there's no signs of Bear. There's nothing of Bear. The search continues and Carl just keeps calling for Bear until his body gave out. The next day, Carl's wife joins him for the search. Marianne and Carl, this relationship, I want to know right now that I have a lot of love, sympathy, and nothing but good vibes for this couple. I know that they are fictional, but I think that unfortunately someone in the world could relate to this couple, and I have nothing but love for this couple. Marianne and Carl have kids of their own. It's almost like parent instinct. You don't have to know Bear personally to want to look for him. Marianne, I want you to picture Jessica Lange. Oh my God, I love that lady. American Horror Story. She's freaking beautiful. Carl and Marianne's relationship, their relationship has not been the same since their son's passing. They are not physically affectionate with each other because it does something to people. When you lose someone that you love, it does something. But there is still genuine love and care between each other. And I really... I don't know if I love you or I hate you, but Liz Moore, she talks about grief and love and how they change a relationship, a person, and a family. But back to the search, many of the volunteers brought their wives along with. It's more volunteers day by day. They keep searching everywhere. Marianne tied up her dress into a knot at her knees. She's stepping everywhere. She's calling for Bear. And then Carl was right next to her when he falls to the ground. Carl had a heart attack and he couldn't even afford to go to emergency care. Guys, like, just remember, Shattuck is not Beverly Hills. People are looking for work and working their ass off just to put food on the table to feed their family. The Van Laar didn't ask to cover for Carl either, considering he had a heart attack while looking for their grandson. But Carl's not that guy. He's not going to ask the Van Laar to help. He just stayed home. He just stayed home and worrying about Bear. And day after day, Marianne would go back to search for Bear. When Marianne comes home, she would report to Carl about the search, how it was. That day, they found something. They found a carving. Carl taught Bear how to carve, and then there was a rumor that spread like wildfire that Carl was the last person to see Bear. And the rumor, you and I both know, that is true. When Marianne confronts Carl about this rumor, Carl tells Marianne the truth, that I saw Bear. I waved at Bear at 3:30. Bear looked like he had somewhere to go while I was heading home. I might just be the last person to see Bear. Marianne, when she learns of that, she was so mad. She was like, why didn't you tell us earlier? Why didn't you tell the police earlier? But Marianne is not the only person with this piece of information. Victor also knew it. However, it doesn't even matter who started this rumor because Carl's faith was decided for him. In the police eyes, he killed Bear. That you are so guilty that you went out looking for him with the search parties. That you are a creepy old man who lured little kids into the woods, gave them carvings, and unalived them there. When Carl's friend learned of this rumor, they went to his house and they told Carl, who's lying on the bed, that you need to freaking run. You need to run for your life. We know you didn't do it, but they don't think so. They think that you did it. You need to freaking run right now. But how is Carl going to run with his condition? What about their kids? What about their life? What about the life that they have built? What about Marianne? It's impossible. So he stayed in his home. And Marianne holds him for the first time in a long time, and they lay together in beds, and Carl's heart is hurting the whole time. But every time he puts his hand to his chest, and Marianne looks like she wanted to cry, like her whole world is falling apart. So he tries not to do it, and together they fell asleep. And then the police came, and Carl dies, either before or after the police came, but it doesn't even matter because it's cemented into history that Carl killed Bear, that you are a creepy old man. Carl Stoddard forever. The name is tainted, but nobody around Carl believed that he did it. Marianne didn't believe it. Their friends didn't, because Carl was the man who volunteered to be a firefighter. Would you part-time as a firefighter for free? The man who would have learned and took up any jobs just to support his sick son in the hospital before he passed away. Carl knew deep down just how much it hurts to lose someone that you love. Could someone like that be the one to unalive Bear? After all, Carl was not the one that Bear was scared of. It was his own grandfather Bear was scared of. This was what Bear told Carl. Personally, the man who watched Bear take that corner and never came back. Bear's grandfather, Peter II, was the one that Bear was scared of. Back to the present. Bear's grandfather right now, he's still alive. This is when Barbara's missing. He is still alive. He is now Barbara's grandfather. And now he's being interviewed by the police. It's safe to say, although it's been 14 years since Bear went missing, the true reason as to how he went missing is still a mystery. Right now, we have two suspects who are still alive. Number one, you already know, Bear's grandfather. And then we have Jacob Slutter. I think that's how you say his name, okay? I'm just gonna call him Jacob. Jacob, think of him as a boogeyman. He's one of the two legends in this land. People are scared of him. Boogeyman. Michael Huisman, I think that's his name. The guy from Hunting Hill House, because Jacob is Dutch, and I picture Jacob to be very tall and messy hair. Jacob is a serial unaliver, okay? He would go into houses, look for the things that he need, and he would do bad things if it came to that. When Bear went missing, he was on the loose. Then he got locked up in prison. 14 years later, before Barbara went missing, he escaped prison, and then Barbara went missing. But there's no evidence that he did anything to these kids because they can't find him or any evidence to back that. We'll talk more about him towards the end, but right now, let's talk about suspect number 1, Bear's grandfather. I don't like the grandfather, okay? I think he is just as vicious, if not more, as Peter. I know that there are a lot of characters in this story, but I hope the visuals are helping you in the casting too. Let me know what you think of the casting, okay? Right now, let's go back to the grandfather being interviewed by Judy Luptek. I'm gonna call her Judy, but her name is this. I'm going to write it. She's one of the investigators assigned for this case. She's not a senior investigator, so she's going around trying to interview the not so important people. Judy used to work in a golf club. She's very familiar with how rich people behave. But when she saw the Van Laar and the guests, they're on another level. Judy, I want you to picture Florence Pugh. She's hardworking, she's smart, she is sharp. She is, I think, the only female investigator in that department. She comes across Van Laar grandfather without knowing who he really is. To her, he just looks like, oh, you look like you have a golf club membership. So she approaches him and she introduces herself. My name is Investigator Luptek. I'm here to help locate Barbara. May I? He cuts her off. I'm afraid not. I'll wait for your sergeant. I don't like repeating myself. This is when she finds out that he is Barbara's grandfather. His demeanor is very tense. It's very dominant. It's very overwhelming. He's the type of guy to say things like, no, let me tell you how to do your job better. He tells Judy plainly that he has no confidence in her work because she's so young. She's like, sorry, what? 26? He keeps telling her, my guess is that you have not been doing this very long. Allow me to assist you. Our granddaughter has run away. She has threatened to run away almost every day for 2 years. Appease Barbara. Don't upset Barbara. Has become the only thing that we talk about in this household. She's 13 and acting like a 13-year-old. Only worse. Our whereabouts, don't ask. It's not important. You don't need that information. You and your people need to send people into those woods and look for her because they are the only danger to Barbara besides Barbara herself. Sort of crazy. Why would you talk about your granddaughter like that? And sort of crazy that he already come to a conclusion on his own. It's quite suspicious if you ask me, especially coming from a man who also was there when Barbara's late brother Bear disappeared. He gets up and he tells Judy that he's leaving to look for Barbara in the woods, but Judy stops him and asks, it's just, in light of your grandson's disappearance, it seems as if we should treat Barbara's with the same care. As soon as she said that, he immediately changes from annoyed to enraged. He opens his mouth and he says to Judy, don't talk about my grandson. Don't even mention his name. My cat saw a lizard. She wants to kill it. Judy may not know the truth, but she knows one thing, that rich people generally becomes enraged when they sense that they are about to be accountable for something that they did wrong. But she has no evidence, so she keeps investigating. When she hears, excuse me, Judy turns and she sees this like beautiful young Italian woman in silk nightgown. Remember, the investigation is going on when in the middle of a week-long Van Laar Black Flag goodbye party, right? Their guests are sleeping over, drinking, partying. If you walk around Self-Reliance, you will see doors open, some closed. If you go inside the room, you will see the beds are unmade, they're untidy, suitcases open, things everywhere. People sleeping, snoring loudly, like they don't even care that Barbara is missing. This young woman is one of the guests, and she tells Judy that her senior investigator, Danny, was just at the house earlier. Judy is not a senior investigator, like we have talked about this. She's like in training, and Danny is her boss, like someone that she reports to. Danny is a super sweet guy, nice guy. I want you to picture Idris Elba because I have not seen him in front of the screen for way too long. I need Idris Elba in front of the screen soon. Danny did not care that she was like 26, you are a girl. And we love that for Danny and Judy. Back to what the Italian woman was saying. Danny was not alone though. He was with a suspect, Barbara's camp leader, Louise. Okay, now to be clear, I have never been to a summer camp. it costs money. And my mom was like, you are just going to stay home. Liz Moore's like summer camp, like leader, blah, blah, blah. I was like, what? Let me just give you the layout of the camp. It's at the top. We have one camp director, right? So before we talked about this is Victor, but now he's old. So he has passed it down to his daughter, TJ. She's the camp director. And under this one camp director, there are many camp leaders that report to TJ. And with each camp leader, you have a co-leader. So they're like assistant. One camp has one camp leader and one co-leader. You get it, right? It's not too confusing, right? Louise is a camp leader and Barbara is under her care and camp. That's a lot of camp. Louise is a suspect because they found illegal substance on her. You see, the thing is, they have no clue where Barbara is and why she's gone. So anything could be a reason to that. Right now, Louise is unfortunately suspect number 1. I want you to picture Haley Seinfeld as Louise. Beautiful, beautiful girl. She's tall. Oh my God, those eyebrows are life. Louise does not come from money, but we will get to know more about Louise as we go. Right now, let me tell you, this town, small, like Shattuck is very small. Everyone knows everyone. Danny had known Louise since she was a kid. Danny used to date Louise's mom. Back to Louise. Illegal white powder that they found on Louise actually does not belong to her. She knows that. Her co-camp leader knows that because it was the co-camp leader who pinned it on her. She's a rich brat with nothing to lose but her life laid out right in front of her. Where would Louise get the money to buy white powder if you really think about it? That's a rich people thing. That's not, oh, I'm struggling, let me get it. No. That is also something that Louise's boyfriend loves to do. She has a boyfriend, and let me just tell you, he is the second person I want to fist fight at a war. In a war, at a war, I don't care. Louise has nothing at this point but words to defend herself, and it's not enough. So when she and Danny marched up to Self-Reliance, knocked on the door, and asked for Louise's boyfriend, who happens to be a lawyer. Okay, Louise is a suspect, right? She needs a lawyer. She was shocked to find her rich boyfriend, aka lawyer, is nowhere to be found. Instead, her boyfriend's husband, who's also a lawyer, answered the door and could like barely recognize her. He kept looking at her and was like, oh Christ, are you the reason that he's gone? What's the vibe here? The vibe is disgusting. He could still represent her, right? They had like dinners 3 times. Louise's boyfriend is called John Paul, and that is John Paul's father. John Paul comes from a family of big shot lawyers, and his father is currently very tight with Barbara's family. His father represents the Van Laar businesses, and the thing is, John Paul's father could represent Louise if he wanted to, but he doesn't want to because to him, Louise is just a stranger. In this book, the separation between the rich and the not rich is like a galaxy away. I don't like the Van Laar, and I don't like this John Paul family, all right? Van Laar thinks that their staff are like, oh my God, you're like way below me. John Paul's family thinks Louise is a struggling girl who's no match for my son. It's not that I don't like rich people. I know that I talk a lot about rich people right now. But if you work hard for your money, I respect you. If you work hard to keep what you have and pass it down, I respect you. If you are Van Laar or John Paul, no. To say the least, Louise has no lawyer to represent her. She has no money for a lawyer or a bail, so Danny just brought her to the station for further investigation. Do you see what is happening right now? She is the perfect victim for this. She is the next Carl 2.0. Now, let's get to know a little bit about her boyfriend, because her boyfriend is missing when Barbara is missing. It's quite weird. He is quite a big piece of this whole puzzle. Louise is suspect number 1 and he is number 2, and I'm gonna tell you why. He is more than Louise's boyfriend. Now, let's get to know John Paul. He grew up being around the Van Laar, and he is their godson. He's 20 something. I want you to picture Austin Butler. Okay, the only way that I can describe him to you, and then you would be like, oh my God, yeah, I know, is He's a F-boy who is a coward, who is a pretty boy with pretty money, but could never walk their talk. Okay, he's next in line to inherit the dynasty of the Laar because Bear is no longer in the picture. But you see, John Paul is not the smartest in the family. However, you see, when you are rich and your parents and those before you have accomplished way more than you don't have to be the smartest to inherit $1 million or $1 billion business. He spent 6 years in college to complete his degree. If you have spent 6 years or more in college to complete your degree and you work hard every single second, like maybe not even every single second, but you try your best, I respect you. It's just this guy is different. I don't like him. After he completed his 6 years degree, he was like, I need to go on a long holiday to rest my brain that I didn't use. He says he wants to enjoy a little before taking up the responsibilities of family business. Oh my god, it's so hard to be rich. John Paul also grew up with Bear. He keeps a photo of himself and Bear in his room. Not sure why. Okay, I'm not sure how close they were, but I can tell you one thing. He doesn't treat those close to him well, including Louise, his own girlfriend. During his time in college, he met Louise and he told Louise that I have no eyes for anybody but you. When Louise had to drop out of college because she can no longer afford it, she wanted a job that she has right now, camp leader at Camp Emerson. So here's the thing, Louise would work here every single summer and John Paul would also come here every single summer. But he is not at the camp. She's at the camp and he's at the main house because the Laar and his family are very close. Every single summer when John Paul and his family are invited as guests to stay at the main house, the routine was John Paul would sometimes go out of the main house to see Louise and then they do the nasty. And then he would go back to the main house. And one time, just one time, Louise asks John Paul to just, can you like sneak me into the main house so I could actually sleep on a proper bed one night? And he told her, they are my hosts. I would not do something so rude. And here is another kicker. Louise is always the one waiting to see if John Paul would come up for the night. You see what I said? F-boy. Never could walk their talk. Pretty boy with the pretty money. Back to the present. A few hours after Danny detained Louise, the state trooper found John Paul in his car. When Danny and Judy got there, he was handcuffed. Like John Paul was handcuffed. He was sitting by the side of the road. He smelled like alcohol and his face like moving in a way that like only certain white powder could make you twitch. When they searched John Paul's car, they found a paper bag. And inside that paper bag is blood-soaked summer camp uniform. They did not know it yet, but those blood belongs to Barbara. Even without that piece of information, it was enough to bring John Paul in for interrogation. When asked straight up, did you kill Barbara? John Paul said nothing, but he just said, I invoke my rights against self-incrimination. At least 6 years of law school taught you that sentence. John Paul would later tell the police that it was Louise who gave me that bloody bag of clothes. It was Louise who told me to get rid of it for her. Louise just could not get over me. You know, we used to mess around, but not anymore. We are not together. When the police told Louise this, she was like, what? What did he say? Why is the whole world turning against me? First, it's my co-leader, rich Brad with nothing to lose, threw me under the bus saying that the white powder belongs to me. Now it's my boyfriend, John Paul, who told the police that we are not even engaged but broken up long ago, who apparently said that I told him to get rid of those uniform of Barbara for me. She was so mad, but ultimately she felt so alone. But here, it's all he said, she said, right? It's not hard evidence. So the police schedule bail. But who are we kidding? Louise has no money for bail. Her brother is too young to work and her mom is too drunk to function. She has nobody to rely on, so she stays with the police. It's very weird that he is doing this to Louise But you know, this like relationship, this I'm going to tell you a little bit more about their relationship. If there is a relationship that I think that Taylor Swift would write a song about, is this Louis, John Paul, TJ, and one more guy. Stay with me, okay? I'm going to tell you right now the first three, and the last one I might save it for way later because like, yeah. Just let me do my thing, all right? It's not like Louise is stupid for dating John Paul. She saw the red flag. She knows that they are red flags. But John Paul represented a bigger and better future for her and her brother. Call her whatever you want. But if she could just marry into money, her brother could live a better life. And that is what she wants for her brother. So she turns a blind eye on a lot of things that John Paul did. For example, one night, she thought that it would be nice to drive up to his college to see him. It would be cute. It would be a surprise. But when she entered his room, there were so many girls that she did not know and loud music. And across the room, you just see John Paul. He was drunk. He was watching the girls dance with each other. Everyone in that room is one lick of alcohol away from doing the nasty with a wall. You know, Louise just saw that. And then she excuses herself and took herself to John Paul's bedroom and she slept, only to be woken up by John Paul pulling her up by her clothes, screaming into her ear, "Who did you fork?" Everyone in the party heard what he asked, but he continues, "Don't shush me. I asked you a question. Who did you fork?" While his hands was on her throat. Louise could hear people giggling outside and she replied, "No one, no one." He released his grip and says, "You sure? I know you've got that in you. I've seen it." Well, to be honest, he's not wrong. She cheated once. She was drunk. She could barely remember anything. It does not excuse her behavior then or his behavior right now. She tells him, "I hope you die." And John Paul, her boyfriend, was on her right then and there, grabbed her shirt, punched her twice. He even kicked her in the back when she was on the floor. When Louise finally managed to escape, she left for Camp Emerson. So this is during winter season. She thought that there would be nobody there because it's no summer camp, right? Camp Emerson only happens during summer. She just thought that I could stay here until I didn't look like a panda anymore. But what she didn't know was that TJ stayed at Camp Emerson all year round. Unless the Van Laar needs her elsewhere, she would be at Camp Emerson. She lived in her office at Camp Emerson along with her father, Victor. So this is the same small TJ, Bear's crush, his little friend who followed each other everywhere. This is TJ, all grown up. She had taken the role of groundskeeper and camp director from her father. I want you to picture Katie Ann O'Brien, okay? Buff. If she wants to be, she could be more masculine than your man type, alright? When TJ saw Louise without knowing who she was, like she could be anyone, she could be Jacob right now. She didn't know who she was. TJ thought that she was just an intruder, so she had her pew pew pointed at her and told Louise, "Get up." But as soon as TJ saw her, TJ was like, "Oh my god, let me attend to your wound and light you a proper fire." And TJ asks Louise, "Was it your boyfriend who did this to you?" Louise says, "Yes." Yes, this is not happy. And TJ asked her again, "Want me to kill him?" Oh yeah. I think like, that's so much. But honestly, I root for these two because for an entire month, their chemistry is just like growing and I love it. Louis would stay here with TJ for an entire month and together they would talk about their dreams. You see, like, if you want to talk about your dreams with someone, it has to be someone that you share some sort of chemistry with, you know what I mean? And TJ is like a very rigid person. Like she's very routine based. I'm going to eat like this portion of food. I do this sort of thing. And for her to sort of open up to nobody but Louise It's something, and I love it, honestly. TJ told Louise not to tell anyone, but she dreams of living off the land for a while now. Like, she doesn't want to be here. She wants to live in a cabin. She has a cabin on a lake up north inside a park, and it's on an island, dude. She could fish, she could hunt. There are deers, squirrels, plenty of fish. She would just want to live there. And there was a moment of like, kiss, nasty maybe. But TJ like drew the line, saying that I'm your employer. Okay, and then what? Don't do that. Which like TJ knew from the jump that Louise is dating John Paul. It's just that Louise didn't know that anybody knew, but TJ told Louise that she never liked her boyfriend. Girl, honestly, who likes John Paul? Nobody likes him. So after this point, they actually didn't date or anything. I wish that they did. I'm a sucker for a love story. But anyway, Louise went back to her job, and then John Paul went and looked for her and was like, I'm so sorry, Louise. I'm so sorry. Like, you're a good one. Will you please stay with me? Will you please marry me? I will not do those things ever again to you. And it was a lie. And he proposed without a ring because he said, when I get my job, I'm going to get you a really, really good ring. And Louise believed him. It was all a lie. I'm a fan of TJ. Would you want to date TJ or John Paul? Are you a fan of TJ right now? Are you? If you love TJ, you let me know, because I'm going to shatter it right the fork now. Okay, right now, let me just refresh your memory a little bit. Remember, Barbara and Tracy made friends, and then they made 3 more friends. One of them is called Christopher. He's like the youngest kid at camp. He would always introduce himself like, hi, I'm Christopher. I'm the youngest kid at camp. So when Judy was conducting interviews, she found Christopher. He told Judy that he noticed that Barbara was always sneaking out to TJ's cabin every single night. She would go there and come back in the morning. Oh my God. When I read this, I was like, oh my goodness, this is so bad. This is so very bad right now. Because TJ, I know that you are masculine. Like, I love that energy about you. But come on. I don't need another PDF, right? If we could switch extinction, it would be bring back the dinosaur and take this with you. With this piece of information, Judy goes straight to TJ's office and confronts her. TJ tells her, I think I know what you're implying, investigator. I know what people say about me down in the town. Maybe they have even said it to you during your investigation, that I dress a certain way, that I talk a certain way, that I walk a certain way. But you see, Barbara is like a little sister to me. She is probably the closest thing that I will ever have to have a kid of my own. If you want to know the truth, I love her, but not in the way that you're implying. But Judy's like, this does not explain what Christopher said, that Barbara was coming to your camp every single night, telling her friends that she's meeting her boyfriend. TJ continues, I'm not dumb. I know what it means when someone's got a theory that they are working on, no matter how wrong they are. And I also know that I have no legal obligation to stay here and talk to you. So come back to me when you have got a warrant for my arrest. Just as TJ stands and she walks out of the room, Judy stops her and asks, then what's your theory then? Do you have a theory about where Barbara went? TJ tells her, woman to woman, something that you will keep out of that notebook of yours. John Paul is your man. I can't tell you how I know, but I do. TJ looks guilty, but John Paul, we ain't gonna talk about him. He is useless as a brick, okay? And you know what makes her look even more guilty? The next time that Judy comes to her office, aka her house, it's locked. In this summer camp, there's not supposed to be any locks. In any part of the camp, even in the house, they don't allow locks. So why did TJ feel the need to lock her office right now? Judy continues interviewing and she speaks with Barbara's grandmother. Barbara's grandmother has nothing to contribute but one thing. Go speak with TJ's father, Victor. He is a very interesting man and he would enjoy your company. What are you talking about? When Judy was interviewing TJ, she barely talked about her father, Victor. If she talked about him, it was as if he's dead. If he's still alive, Why is TJ hiding him? Does he have something to do with Barbara going missing? Judy goes around asking for TJ where she is because nobody have seen her. So all of a sudden, TJ is gone. Her truck is gone. Everything is gone. She has got to show up because she's been here way too long. This is her home. So she waits. At around 4 p.m., TJ comes back as if nothing is happening. Everything is normal. And Judy goes to her and asks, "Where's your father?" And TJ just says, "He's with his brother." And that's it. She does not want to tell her anything more. And Judy knows that she's hiding something. And this may be the truth, but it's not the full truth. We are approaching the end, Chubby. Shit's going down, Chubby. Ugly truths will be revealed soon enough. So let me know right now. Who do you think is the... Is it TJ? Is it John Paul? Is he really as stupid as a brick? Right now, allow me to tell you a little bit more about TJ's family history, specifically about Victor, because that's how everything came about in the family, like the whole land, the groundskeeping, Cam Emerson, everything, okay? Victor's family is very well known in these lands because there's no one as knowledgeable as they are when it comes to this region and navigating these lands. I'm not just talking about the state, everything around it. When the first Van Laar, who made it big, was looking to purchase an estate, Victor's father was the one who brought him here. There's no way this random rich guy was ever going to find this piece of land on his own. We will call the first Van Laar Pete. Victor's father, we will call him Dan. Dan brought him here because he knew that the owner of this piece of land was looking to sell. Remember, this piece of land was used for logging. When the government sanctioned this piece of land to be illegal for logging, the family who owned this was like, okay, then we need to move on. We need money. We need to find other source of income. When Pete saw this piece of land, he fell in love with the land and he bought it and hired Dan as an official guide for him. You see, there's a saying, right? Usually, the first one in the family to make the most money in the world is the most humble one, right, Chupi? And this was true for Pete. He often cannot believe like how much money he has, and he tries to show appreciation for those around him. During Dan's employment, he met his lady and they had twins. Unfortunately, the twins became orphans when they were about 15 years old. So we are talking about Victor and his brother. Pete basically just took him in. He liked Victor's brother, like he spoke well of him, but it was Victor that was special to him. Like Pete loved Victor like his own son. Pete has only one son of his own, but wherever he went, he brought Victor and his brother together. One day, Victor was like, "I want to start Camp Emerson." Pete was like, "That is a great idea. I'm going to support you from the jump until the very end." Before Pete died, he said that Camp Emerson was one of his greatest accomplishments because being able to teach future generation about the importance of this land and the beauty of it is so much bigger than him. When I was first reading this, I was like, okay, that's so sweet. But also, that is not your accomplishment. That is Victor's accomplishment. But I might just be picky right now. I think that he is the most likable Van Laar. Pete was the only Van Laar that wanted to be involved with the camp. Every other single Van Laar was like, Camp Emerson is like below us, including Barbara's father. When Pete died, here's what should have happened. The camp goes to Victor and everything else goes back to the Van Laar. But Pete made the mistake of leaving this decision to his son. His son, so Barbara's grandfather, was not like Pete. He was jealous of Victor. He did not like the camp. He did not like Victor. He did not see Victor as an equal. He didn't even give Vic and his brother jack shit. But even though they didn't get anything, they still stayed. Victor stayed in Camp Emerson, and his brother stayed in the slaughterhouse of the estate until he passed 2 decades ago. How do you be with your brother if your brother has passed 2 decades ago? When Judy found out this piece of information about TJ's family history, she's suspicious not just of TJ, but also of her father. Are they trying to get revenge on the Van Laar because they are treated unfairly? The Van Laar are not good employers. Is this their chance to get even? Did they kill Barbara and run away? If you really think about it, these are the perfect people to do it because they have been in the family for so long. So Judy goes straight to the slaughterhouse and she hears a man's voice and some music, and she follows the noise and she finds herself in front of a door with a padlock. Oh my god, you are so cute! On one hand, she draws out her pew pew, and another she raps on the door. Mr. Hedwig, are you in there? The radio goes off and she calls for him again. And silence. Then, Barbara? Barbara, you're not supposed to be in here, Barbara. Mr. Hedwig, stand back from the door. And Judy shoots the padlock sideways. When she opens the door, all she sees is a small old man lying on a twin bed with a blanket covering from his chin to his feet. He's confused. Somebody is taking care of this old man. Like, he needs help. That is no longer the strong, stoic man of few words that we know. Victor is suffering from dementia. 1,000 things is going through Judy's mind right now. How the fork is she going to tell her senior that, yeah, ta-da, this is your killer? No way. She couldn't even put the lock back. She can't undo anything. And then suddenly, Victor speaks again. Oh, I guess you're here about Bear. I don't know how to say this, but he sounds like very remorseful, also energetic. Like this is a secret that has been eating away at him for years and he's ready to let it go. Are you ready for the truth? Let me take you back right now to when Victor was young and Alice still had Bear, and when Delphine came for the annual Black Flies party. Picture rich people, okay? They use some parts of their brain to play like charades, but not too much brain power because we might get a headache and it might not end so well for us. And then maybe we do some sports because we are competitive and we are rich and we want to show people that we have more than money. We got things to do, right? But not too much because we get tired. So you get it. Alice hates it. Everything about this. I don't want to play charades. I don't want to do sports. I just want the day to end so I can go find my son, give him a kiss, and watch him sleep. And so the day ends. And Alice is walking to Bear's room and she hears someone crying and she knows who it is. Delphine. Delphine just lost her husband not too long ago, and Alice, as her sister, should have been there for her or try harder to be there for her. You see, I think Alice and Delphine sort of have this like unspoken rivalry between them. Alice feels bad that Delphine lost her husband, but it also reminds her of how wonderful her life is. She got a rich husband, she got a nice house, she got a beautiful son. But this is a chance right now for Delphine to at least try to be there for her sister. So Alice opens Delphine's room door and finally they have a heart-to-heart sort of talk. And Delphine tells Alice that she misses her husband so much. She cries about him every single day. The only reason that she's here is because this party reminds her of her husband. Is it working? Does being here make you feel closer to your husband? Alice asks Delphine. No, not really. But are you happy here, Bunny? Of course. I mean, really happy. I know you love Bear and he's darling, but Peter, does he treat you well? I have always felt guilty, you know, like in a way I feel I set you up with him. George and I thought that he would take good care of you, and now I'm not certain that you're a match. Alice is like, what are you talking about? I'm confused. I don't know what you are talking about, Delphine. But Delphine continues. You know Peter, Alice. He's inflexible and you are such a dear. I hope you stand up to him once in a while. I hope you're getting what you want from this life too. Alice has no idea what her sister's talking about, but she starts crying and she hates that Delphine makes her feel this way. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to hurt me right now with these words? To Alice, Delphine, you are cruel. But to Delphine, she's just trying to tell her sister, live your life. But it's so confusing. What do you mean live your life? How to live your life right now? Delphine continues, listen, Alice, the best part about marrying my late husband was learning that it's alright not to do everything that is expected of you all the time. This is a notion that has been very positively liberating for me. We can have our own thoughts, our inner lives. We can do as we please. We can only learn not to care so much about what people think about us. Sounds a little cryptic, right? Fast forwards some nights later, Alice is wandering down the halls again looking for Bear, and she happens to pass Peter's room. She turns the knob and she sees Delphine in Peter's arms. Peter and Alice slept in different beds, different rooms. When she married Peter, he normalized it. He never hugged Alice to sleep, not even when Alice was pregnant with Bear. And now, Peter and Delphine in the same room, in the same bed. It looks like they've been doing this for a really long time. And then Alice realizes that Peter would be gone for days on end, going for business trips. I gotta go for dinners. And Delphine even knew very well of their own stuff at Self-Reliance. Maybe the whole time he was having dinner here with Delphine and sleeping in this room. And Alice just stood there, looking at Peter and Delphine, naked, sleeping, and she asks herself 3 questions. Could I live like this, always pretending? Could I walk out of this room into the hallway? Could I close the door gently and then face Peter and Delphine at dinner and pretend to have seen nothing at all for the rest of my life? Yes. Yes. And yes. Yes. For as long as I have Bear. And so Alice closes the door and she walks to the sunroom and she drank and drank and drank and she let herself cry. By the time that she's done drinking, the world around her is spinning and she's swaying slightly. She didn't care. She only wanted Bear. When she got to Bear, Bear was tying his boots in front of Self-Reliance. Bear's grandfather was right in front of them. He wanted to bring him for a walk, a hike, and Alice just stood there because she wanted to bring him for a boating. I'm not sure if I'm saying this correctly, but they want to go for a boat, like just the 2 of them. But she dismisses Bear to let him be with the grandfather, and so she left to the boathouse alone. Keep in mind that Alice right now, she's drunk out of her mind right now. When she got to the boathouse, she's dragging the boats and operating the boats like a drunk person would. And then the storm came, and then there was so much water, and then she's crying, and then Bear's grandfather was there. Bear's grandfather ran to the boathouse the moment that he realized that Bear was not with him the whole hike. He was not there because Bear loved his mom. Even though Alice dismissed him, he still wanted to be with his mother. What Alice didn't realize was that she was never alone. Bear was with her all along, walking to the boathouse, getting on the boat, dragging the boat, trying to stay on the boat during the storm, and then Bear was suddenly not with her anymore because the boat capsized during the storm and Bear's clothes was hooked to the boat and he drowned. Alice swam back to safety, probably only by her survival instinct, and Bear was still inside that lake along with the boat. Bear's grandfather got him out, but there was no saving his grandson. He was long gone. When Victor and Peter got to the scene, they were hysterical that Bear's gone. But there is a bigger matter, bigger than Bear. Nobody can know about this. Nobody can know that this is how Bear died, because this is going to affect how people see us, our business, and our dynasty, and we might lose everything if this gets out. So the Van Laar decided this is not the true story. The true story is Bear and his grandfather went for a walk. Bear turned back for the pocket knife and he never came back. And then there would be a search. And then maybe there would be a scapegoat. And so this is where Carl became their scapegoat. Victor right then and there buried Bear along with the boat, and he built a little like a shrine. I'm going to butcher this, but Cairn is like a little shrine. But what the Van Laar and Victor didn't know was two things. TJ was there all along. There she saw her best friend's lifeless body as she heard their plans that they were going to decide that what is the true story. And she saw the shrine. And that's why she came out of the forest crying. She didn't know what to say. She saw everything. TJ knew the truth since day one, but Victor made her promise not to say anything, because if she did, who knows what the Van Laar would do to them. And Camp Emerson is Victor's life's work. Camp Emerson is TJ's future. So both of them stay quiet. Number 2, they had another witness. Jacob, the infamous serial unaliver who escaped prison. Jacob's reputation is very bad, but when he told the police that I know Bear and I know how he died, everyone was like, oh my god, you did it. Let me tell you a little bit about Jacob before we jump to conclusion. Jacob's family was the one who sold their land to the Van Laar. They made their money from logging, not a lot of money. So when the government was like, you can't log here anymore, they thought that there's no value to this land, so they sold it. And ever since then, Jacob would sneak back into the property that was no longer his. And because he lived here so long, he knows that there are hidden caverns on sides of the land. His grandfather was the one who showed him. When Jacob was on the run from the police, he did some horrible things, okay? He would go live in one of those caverns. And what happened was, when Victor was burying Bear right there, Jacob was 10 feet above ground, seeing everything unfold. So why now? Why now? Why keep a secret for 14 years only to let it out now? I think that Jacob just I have nothing to do with this. I don't know why I'm here. That's why he's telling the police everything. But as for TJ, the grandmother, and also Victor, it's because Carl was blamed for Bear's disappearance. And Victor knew that it was wrong. TJ knew that it was wrong. Even Bear's grandmother knew that it was wrong. If they didn't do something about Barbara's disappearance right now, Louise is going to be blamed for it. Just like Carl, she might be the scapegoat because the family's reputation is more important than the truth. And at this point, John Paul has already given her a head start with the bloody uniform of Barbara. Judy keeps investigating as she's finding out all these information, right? She finds a mural. Mural, is that how you say it? Mural, right? Locked behind a door. Another lock. This mural is painted over. This pink paint, if I'm not wrong. Alice was the one to have this painted over because she did not like the painting. And she knows that if Peter found out about this mural, he was going to be very angry because there was upside down flags, safety pins, axes, knives, sun and moon, smiling, frowning faces. Alice didn't like it. The whole reason why that she was encouraging or very supportive of Barbara going to camp, joining the summer camp, is because she wants some distance from Barbara, and after this camp she would send Barbara to some sort of reform school and things would be fine after. The vibe is that Alice just doesn't have the bandwidth to deal with Barbara. She dislikes that Barbara eats so much and the staffs always gives her food, and Barbara just dresses a certain way and draws this mural. She didn't like it. So back to Judy. Judy and other investigator, they found this piece of wall and this pink wall is kind of weird. So they removed it, just a layer, and they saw everything. The flag, pins, axes, knives, all of that. It's like an expression, like Barbara's confession. But if you look closely at the mural, you would see JPM plus BVL, John Paul McLean and Barbara Van Laar. If you add the narrative of a rebel girl who ran away from camp to see her boyfriend every single night, and now that she's gone and her uniform is found bloody in the trunk of his car, John Paul's car, this is enough to keep John Paul as a prime suspect to Barbara's disappearance. Back to the police station, John Paul actually got out soon after he was detained because, you know, he comes from a family of lawyers and he got money. That is very much expected. But right now, they got a proper reason to detain him again. As for John Paul's girlfriend, aka fiance Louise, aka the scapegoat, she had no money for bail, no money for anything at all. She just waited in the station. She was starving. They were trying to get something out of her, but what would you get out? She has nothing to do with Barbara going missing. But still, there was nothing that she could do until she finds out that someone, a mysterious person, paid her bail in full. So Danny picks her up and sends her back to her home in Shattuck. Then there was a knock on the door. It's a great-haired woman with a long cotton dress. It's Marianne Stoddard. It's Carl's wife. People rarely ever see her since the passing of her son and her husband. She keeps to herself. Louise knew her because she was friends with one of her kids. Louise is not sure why Marianne is here right now. Maybe just to catch up about the case, maybe not. Barbara's disappearance is quite a big deal. Marianne leans in and she's tearing up. I know what they're doing to you, but don't worry. I won't let them do it again. The thing is, people can tell Louise that she's innocent, that she got nothing to do with Barbara going missing, but there's no solid evidence to back her with 100% confidence that she didn't do it. But Marianne, who she's not close with, tell Louise straight up that I know that you have nothing to do with Barbara going missing, and I know that the Van Laar is doing this or someone's doing this to you. Marianne hands Louise a document with Marianne's signature and she asks, "Did they tell you it was me at the office? Did they tell you it was me who bailed you out? I put my house up for that." Marianne puts her house up that she's been living in for hundreds of years because she knows that Louise is innocent. Louise could have never afforded bail. She doesn't want Louise to be the next Carl, and ultimately she wants to clear her husband's name, that Carl Stoddard has nothing to do with Bear going missing. There's nothing wrong with her family. Ever since Carl died and Bear went missing, Marianne has spent the past 14 years searching the forest for evidence to clear her husband's name. And sometimes if you drive past the forest, you might just see her standing in the forest, great hair. For a moment you would see her and she would be gone the next second. She is Scary Mary. Marianne is the legend that everyone's been talking about in summer camp, and she was the one who guided Tracy out of the forest. Guys, when I read the 14 years is a long time. You think that the person that you're with right now would do this for you for 14 years? Now we know that Louise is out, right? More than Marianne, TJ, Barbara's grandmother, and Victor are speaking out, and they're not going to let Louise take the fall for this. But I think that Marianne is like the force, like the full force. I'm not going to let this happen, and I love this. I really do. I love this. I think that those three people, they feel very guilty about Carl, and the stars are just in a way aligning because even Jacob, the serial unaliver, is talking about this. As Judy continues this investigation, Louis' co-leader came forward. Remember the rich kid who had her life planned out, who said like Louis was the one with the white powder? Yeah, that girl. She's called Annabelle. She's not that important, so I will not put a face to that. She confesses to Judy that she has been sleeping with John Paul this whole time, that she was with John Paul the night that Barbara went missing. So he is innocent. He did not go to Barbara, take her uniform or anything. He has nothing to do with it because he was boinking with Annabelle. So John Paul is innocent in a sense, like despite the Muriel, the bloody uniform found in his car, which he insisted still that it's planted. But he has to be punished for driving while intoxicated and being found with substance. And the punishment is, okay, he should have been to like jail for 5 years, but the judge was like, no, 100 hours of community service. And the judge is friendly with John Paul's father. And so right now, life is unfair. Right now, Judy's case has 0 victims and no Barbara. Where the fork is Barbara if everyone is innocent? But Judy has a feeling that Barbara is okay. Maybe she just ran away, and maybe that is actually better for her, away from her family, away from this like politics. The thing is though, if Judy finds Barbara right now, this would be career making for her, you know, especially finding her alive. She would get a fat paycheck and maybe a promotion or 2. She would make a name for herself, just like how the investigator that led Bear's missing case got promoted after the case is settled and Carl became a voiceless victim in death. How he became a captain, how he got a promotion so big after the case is closed. But Judy cannot rest until she knows for sure that Barbara is safe. And then one day, Judy runs into Louise at a pub and they're talking, they're chit-chatting, and she brings up TJ. And Louise is like, oh, you know, like it's TJ's dream. Well, so much for not telling anyone, but she's like, TJ has a dream, you know, to live at her family's cabin up north in an island inside the woods. If TJ loves Barbara like her own sister and she visited in her office every single night, maybe Barbara was learning how to survive in these woods on that island all by herself. And so Judy swims to the island. The girl is brave. I do not trust marine biology, marine in general. She swims there and she sees Barbara. Judy gets out of the water and she's shaking because the water is cold and she looks like a little ridiculous. She would not have swum here if it was not an island. Barbara just like goes to her and was like, are you okay? And stuff. Like she's like casual. But Judy asks only one thing. Do you want me to leave you alone? Barbara thinks. She looks at her and she says, yes. One of the greatest things that Judy was taught by her family was to put others before themselves. If her captain or any investigator were the one to find Barbara, she would not have been left alone. She would be returned back to the Van Laar and probably lived a life that she has no passion towards or unhappy about. So this is the ending of the book. Barbara is safe. She's living in TJ's cabin. Barbara's family don't treat her well. Like they really don't care much about her, and TJ hates the fact that they treat her like that. Barbara and TJ were the one who planned everything, like the secret that I would be like finding my boyfriend every single night and getting her bloody uniform inside John Paul's car. So it was planted, and painting the mural to loop John Paul into all of this, because if there's one person who's not worthy, is that Brick. He's a horrible person, boyfriend, and he is going to inherit the Van Laar fortune. And it looks like the god of the woods favors Barbara because she's not scared and she knows what she wants. If there's anything in this preserve or Shattuck needs to be scared of, it's not the god of the woods or what he would do to you, but what the Van Laar wants and what they would do to keep their dynasty alive. There you have it. This is the story of the God of the Woods by Liz Moore. I invite you to go read the book. I feel like when you're reading it, you might be less confused than me because now at least you know some parts of it. But this is not all, because the book is very rich and very complex. I feel like you will discover a lot of things. It's like a lot of what Easter eggs. Yeah. I invite you to go read the book. So link in description box below. Let me know what you think. I have a lot of love for Marianne. Oh my god. And like every time I think about her, I want to cry. Anyway, this video is like way too long. This is going to be my first very, very long video, and I'm not going to talk anymore. So I will see you next time.